Welcome to Shane and me. Peter Rabbit. Chapter 14. Someone fools old Jed Thumper. You cannot judge a person's temper by his size. There is more meanness in the head of a weasel than in the hole of a bear. Peter Rabbit. Old Jed Thumper sat in his bullbriar castle in the middle of the old pasture, scowling fiercely and muttering to himself. He was very angry, was old Jed Thumper. He was so angry that presently he stopped muttering and began to chew rapidly on nothing at all but his temper, which is the way angry rabbits have. The more he chewed his temper, the angrier he grew. He was big and stout and strong and grey. He had lived so long in the old pasture that he felt that it belonged to him and that no other rabbit had any right there unless he said so. Yet here was a strange rabbit who had the impudence to come up from the green meadows and refuse to be driven away. Such impudence! Of course, it was Peter Rabbit of whom old Jed Thumper was thinking. It was 2 days since he had caught a glimpse of Peter, but he knew that Peter was still in the old pasture, for he had found fresh tracks each day. That very morning he had visited his favorite feeding ground, only to find Peter's tracks there. It hadn't made him so angry that he had lost his appetite, and he had gone straight back to his bullbriar castle to think it over. At last, old Jed Thumper stopped chewing on his temper. He scowled more fiercely than ever and stamped the ground impatiently. I'll hunt that fellow till I kill him or drive him so far from the old pasture that he'll never think of coming back. I certainly will, he said aloud and started forth to hunt. Now, it would have been better for the plans of old Jed Thumper if he had kept them to himself instead of speaking aloud. Two dainty little ears heard what he said, and two soft, gentle eyes watched him leave the bullbriar castle. He started straight for the far corner of the old pasture, where, although he didn't know it, Peter Rabbit had found a warm little sunning bank, but he hadn't gone far when, from way off in the opposite direction, he heard a sound that made him stop short and prick up his long ears to listen. There it was again, thump, thump. He was just going to thump back an angry reply when he thought better of it. If I do that, thought he, I'll only warn him and he'll run away just as he was before. So instead, he turned and hurried in the direction from which the thumps had come, taking the greatest care to make no noise. Every few jumps he would stop to listen. Twice more he heard those thumps, and each time new rage filled his heart, and for a minute or two he chewed his temper. He's down at my blueberry patch, he muttered. At last, he reached the blueberry patch. Very softly, he crept to a place where he could see and not be seen. No one was there. No, sir, no one was there. He waited and watched, and there wasn't a hair of Peter Rabbit to be seen. He was just getting ready to go look for Peter's tracks when he heard that thump thump again. This time it came from his favorite clover patch, where he never allowed even his favorite daughter, little Miss Fuzzytail, to go. Anger nearly choked him as he hurried in that direction, but when he got there, just as before, no one was to be seen. So all the morning long, old Jed Thumper hurried from one place to another, and never once caught sight of Peter Rabbit. Can you guess why? Well, the reason was that all the time Peter was stretched out on his warm sunning bank, getting the rest he so much needed. It was someone else who was fooling old Jed Thumper. Chapter 15. A pleasant surprise for Peter. Sticks will break and sticks will bend, and all things bad will have an end. Peter Rabbit. All morning, while someone was fooling old Jed Thumper, the cross old rabbit who thought he owned the old pasture, Peter Rabbit lay stretched out on the warm, light sunning bank, dreaming of soft, gentle eyes and beautiful little footprints. It was a dangerous place to go to sleep because at any time fierce Mr. Goshawk might have come that way, and if he had found Peter Rabbit asleep, why, that would have been the end of Peter and all the stories about him. Peter did go to sleep. You see, the sunning bank was so warm and comfortable, and he was so tired and had had so little sleep for such a long time that, in spite of all he could do, he nodded and finally slipped off into dreamland. Peter slept a long time, for no one came to disturb him. It was past noon when he opened his eyes and blinked up at jolly round, red Mr. Sun. For a minute he couldn't remember where he was. When he did, he sprang to his feet and hastily looked this way and that way. "My gracious!" exclaimed Peter. "My gracious, what a careless fellow I am! It's a wonder that old Jed Thumper didn't find me asleep. My, but I'm hungry. Seems as if I hadn't had a good square meal for a year." Peter stopped suddenly and began to wrinkle his nose. Said he, "if I didn't know better, I should say that there is a patch of sweet clover close by. Am I really awake or am I still dreaming? I certainly do smell sweet clover." Slowly Peter turned his head in the direction from which the delicious smell seemed to come. Then he whirled round and stared as hard as he ever could. This mouth gaping wide open in surprise, he blinked, rubbed his eyes, then blinked again. There could be no doubt of it. There on the edge of the sunning bank was a neat little pile of tender sweet clover. Yes, sir, there it was. Peter walked all around it, looking for all the world as if he couldn't believe that it was real. Finally, he reached out and nibbled the leaf of it. It was real. There was no doubt in Peter's mind then. Someone had put it there while Peter was asleep, and Peter knew that it was meant for him. Who could it have been? Suddenly a thought popped into Peter's head. He stopped eating and hopped over to the big fern from behind, which he had first seen the two soft, gentle eyes peeping at him the day before. There in the soft earth was a fresh footprint, and it looked very, very much like the footprint of dainty little Miss Fuzzy-Tail. Peter's heart gave a happy little jump. He felt sure now who had put the clover there. He looked wistfully about among the ferns, but she was nowhere to be seen. Finally, he hopped back to the pile of clover and ate it, every bit, and it seemed to him that it was the sweetest, tenderest clover he had ever tasted in all his life. Chapter 16. Peter Rabbit's Looking Glass. If people by their looks are judged as judged they are sure to be, why each should always look his best, I am sure you will agree, Peter Rabbit. For the first time in his life, Peter Rabbit had begun to think about his clothes. Always he had been such a happy-go-lucky fellow that it never had entered his head to care how he looked. He laughed at Sammy Jay for thinking so much of that beautiful blue and white coat he wears, and he poked fun at Reddy Fox for bragging so much about his handsome suit. As for himself, Peter didn't care how he looked. If his coat was whole or in rags and tags, it was all the same to Peter. But now Peter, sitting on the edge of his sunning bank in the far corner of the old pasture, suddenly realized that he wanted to be good looking. Yes, sir, he wanted to be good looking. He wished that he were bigger. He wished that he were the biggest and strongest rabbit in the world. He wished that he had a handsome coat, and it was all because of the soft, gentle eyes of little Miss Fuzzytail that he had seen peeping out at him so often. He felt sure that it was little Miss Fuzzytail herself who had left the pile of sweet clover close by his sunning bank the other day while he was asleep. The fact is, Peter Rabbit was falling in love. Yes, sir, Peter Rabbit was falling in love. All he had seen of little Miss Fuzzytail were her soft, gentle eyes, for she was very shy and had kept out of sight. But ever since he had first seen them, he had thought and dreamed of nothing else until it seemed as if there was nothing in the world he wanted so much as to meet her. Perhaps he would have wanted this still more if he had known that it was she who had fooled her father, Old Jed Thumper, the big grey old rabbit, so that Peter might have the long nap on the sunning bank he so needed. "I've just got to meet her. I've just got to," said Peter to himself, and right then he began to wish that he were big and fine looking. "My, I must be a sight," he thought. "I wonder how I do look anyway. I must hunt up a looking glass and find out." Now, when Peter Rabbit thinks of doing a thing, he wastes very little time. It was that way now. He started at once for the bit of swamp where he had first seen the tracks of Old Jed Thumper. He still limped from the wounds made by Hooty the Owl. But in spite of this, he could travel pretty fast, and it didn't take him long to reach the swamp. There, just as he expected, he found a looking glass. What was it like? Why, it was just a tiny pool of water. Yes, sir, it was a quiet pool of water that reflected the ferns growing under it and the branches of the trees hanging over it, and Peter Rabbit himself sitting on the edge of it. That was Peter's looking glass. For a long time he stared into it. At last he gave a great sigh. "My, but I am a sight," he exclaimed. He was. His coat was ragged and torn from the claws of Hooty the Owl and the teeth of Old Jed Thumper. The white patch on the seat of his trousers was stained and dirty from sitting down in the mud. There were burrs tangled in his waistcoat. He was thin and altogether miserable looking rabbit. It must be that Miss Fuzzytail just pities me. She certainly can't admire me, muttered Peter as he pulled up the blurs. For the next hour, Peter was very busy. He washed and he brushed and he combed. When at last he had done all that he could, he took another look at his looking glass. And what he saw was a very different looking rabbit. "Though I am homely, lank and lean, I can at least be neat and clean," said he as he started back for the sunning bank. Thank you.